What's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Variant the Podcast. It's the week after Thanksgiving, so we're ramping up for Christmas, full blown now.
We're trying to work our way back to work,
only to hopefully get some more days off because Christmas.
Always working for the days off.
But yeah, if you guys aren't aware by now, we say it all the time, but you could follow this on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, all that fun stuff, and then you could watch it on our Variant the Podcast channel, as it's going to be coming off this main channel. I don't know when, but eventually.
In the next few weeks.
Yeah.
So if you're not already subscribed to the podcast YouTube channel or one of the several audio platforms, like he said, Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, etc., make sure you check the links in the description and get subscribed to one of those so you're always notified when a new episode comes out.
Yes, indeed. But let's get to it.
Let's jump in.
So, Absolute Carnage, we just put up a video of it earlier. Well, I guess
last week,
yeah.
Yep.
So we summarized the finale of it, right? It's done. It's over. Donnie Cates did some really good work. I'm loving everything he's doing thus far. He seems like he's very much the Scott Snyder of Marvel right now.
He very much does. His work has been probably the best to come out of Marvel recently.
Mm-hmm. Him and Jason Aaron, but more so Donnie Cates though recently, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to categorize. I don't want to say best because there's a lot of good writers, but he's done really good work. Jason Aaron has done some really good work with Thor recently, and the two might actually merge, especially with Donnie Cates moving over to Thor in the new year. So there's some really cool stuff that has come out of both books.
They're going to be like peanut butter and jelly, essentially.
It seems like they're going to clash somewhere.
Yeah, because Jason Aaron, especially, you mentioned his Thor run. A lot of people are saying he could very well have the most beloved Thor run ever.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of people were saying that, they love, this is going to be like a Thor run that's going to be talked about for years and years, kind of like, the Dark Knight Returns for Batman or something like that sort, where he's going to have like one of, if not the definitive Thor run, especially for the modern age.
It's not surprising. Jason Aaron is just such a good writer.
Yeah. I remember I believe he kicked off Star Wars, and that was really, really good.
Did an excellent job.
Yeah, and then Star Wars, they started releasing like titles, so many offshoots of like
now.
Darth Vader's like on his third or fourth book.
Yeah.
They did all these miniseries.
They've got all these spin-offs like Dr. Aphra and some of and some of them have taken more than others, but our boy Greg Pak, he just released that whole series with Age of Rebellion.
Age of the Rebellion, yeah.
And also Charles Soule now is doing a Kylo Ren book.
He's supposed to give more about stuff.
He does a lot of Star Wars stuff. He did, I think, Chewbacca, right?
I believe so.
So a few others, but there's just so many Star Wars books now. It's pretty crazy.
It is. But back to Donnie Cates, Absolute Carnage. What I found really interesting about it is it was pretty much a love letter for Carnage and Venom of the 90s. I mean, I guess that's, where they came out of. But I just love that he very much was like a fan, and now he gets to write these characters. So you could see he's taking his favorite stories like Carnage Mind Bomb, Maximum Carnage, like all his favorite stuff that we grew up with even pulling, to a certain extent from Spider-Man the Animated Series from the 90s,
right.
which you can watch on Disney Plus now if you guys want to watch that. But he's pulling from all that stuff we grew up with, is what I'm trying to say, and kind of put it all in there in a 5. It's crazy to me like how much he was able to put in a 5-issue miniseries, even though technically I guess you could say it's a 7-issue miniseries because the first issue was 3 issues in one. Like, that was a massive
big issue,
but it ended with lots of questions. That's the craziest thing about this series. Lots of questions. So Norman Osborn's missing, as we all know, the whole Red Goblin thing, and he was again Carnage in this series, and by the end his body was gone, so we don't know what's going on with him. Dylan, Eddie's son, now knows that Eddie is his father,
right? So
that's crazy. And then the biggest, two big things. Null is now free. That's a massive one.
That's a big one.
That's a big one. But one for me, and I've been seeing a lot of people talk about it too, is Dylan now has power. Well,
they knew he did.
We knew he had powers, but like they're coming out, and we're being able to see what he could do with them. But we don't know necessarily what they are. We could assume that they're probably linked to the symbiote and Venom, obviously his father, but we don't know to what extent and what that even means going forward.
Yeah, there's not even a full scope of how powerful he is, but it's he's clearly got some serious power because he just obliterates,
just like with a hand motion.
Yeah, just some of the carnage. There was so many open-ended by the end of the series. They intentionally set up so many different things that they've clearly got a path going forward, which makes Donnie Cates' move over to Thor even that much more interesting.
For sure. Now that Null's free, and then we got like the God Butcher and stuff, and the Necro Sword coming and all that stuff. So I guess in January is when the first issue of Donnie Cates' Thor run drops. We're gonna get a lot of answers with that. But I'm wondering how much, like, where is everything gonna spin off? Like, are we just gonna get the Null answers in the Thor book, and we're gonna get the Dylan answer somewhere else, and then the Norman Osborn answers here? You know what I mean? Because there's so many
many books too.
So I'm curious to see how many like offshoots or how many different books this is going to go into.
Yeah. Do we know, as far as even Carnage goes, is Absolute Carnage definitively spinning into a specific book? Or is it just branching out?
It's kind of branching out. I do know, I did remember reading something that there's going to be some sort of aftermath event. The name escapes me right now, but they're definitely going to be kind of like what DC is doing with the Infected right now. There's going to be like one-shots and offshoots or miniseries that deal with all this stuff.
And that was kind of what I was thinking is, it had the whole Absolute Carnage series had kind of a feel of what Snyder's doing with the Infected and the Man Who Laughs and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm very interested to see where they go with it.
Yeah, it's really, really fun. And I'm just digging, because again, being a massive, everyone knows by now, if you're listening to the show or watch the show for a while now, that Batman and Spider-Man are those are my boys, my two favorite superheroes. So the fact that he's been doing such a good job with Spider-Man, and it was more so his villains, but Spider-Man in it, and just the Spider-Man universe, I guess you could say. I want him to be on a Spider-Man book. Or he was on the Venom book for a very long time, but I want him on a Spider-Man book, just writing Spider-Man, even though his Venom book was great. I mean, he's Guardians of the Galaxy, Venom, Thanos, now Thor. He's every character he's been touching with Marvel, he's been doing a great job. So
yeah, and it's kind of like one of those things when you find a writer who has a really good, a clear vision of a storyline, you kind of want to let them stretch their legs and see where they can take it, because it's not like Marvel has been knocking it out of the park over the last few years.
Right.
They've had some good storylines. The War of the Realms, a lot of people liked it. Some people don't. It's a little bit polarizing. But he's clearly writing some good stuff. There's a lot of fan service.
For sure.
Just a ton of fans. I mean, you were like geeking out royally.
Dude, but that's the thing I love so much, and that's why I think a lot of people also like Scott Snyder. When you could take, because I feel like I say it all the time, but I think that the best way for fans and give fan service is when you could take things of old and make it feel refreshing or new, or find something from an old comic book or novel and then make that a bigger part of the mythology. And that's kind of like, what Donnie Cates does for this, and definitely what Snyder does for the DC universe. So the fact that the book starts off Carnage with like Carnage, the whole reason he's trying to wake, or how he's trying to wake up Null, is by these codices, basically. So he's saying that a little bit of DNA essentially lives in every person who's ever worn the Carnage symbiote. So he's bringing it back and tying it to like, the time Wolverine had it, the time Cap had it, and so on and so forth. And it just brings all that into one, and it's just really, really cool.
And Null is such a cool character.
Yes.
He's such a cool add to the Marvel universe that I'm thrilled that the end of this book, of this series, it culminated with the return of Null, like them bringing him back to life, and it was just like, God help us all.
And it's just, again, so clever how you could tell like he's interweaving everything, because it started like in his Venom book, and now it's into the Absolute Carnage book, and now it's definitely going to go into Thor. So he's basically everywhere he goes, Null is following.
It's freaking awesome.
So I'm very excited to see what 2020 has in store for Marvel, especially on the Spider-Man side of things.
Yeah, without any doubt.
Yeah,
there's some really good storylines. It's like Marvel is introducing some cool storylines, and DC is like working their way towards maybe wrapping some up and moving in a different direction.
Yeah, I'm very curious.
So it's like the tale of two publishers.
As DC starts to go into their quote unquote 5G initiative.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, which we talked about
at length.
Yeah, at length. But it is so crazy to think that you establish this world that people are loving, like, this DC Rebirth and then the DC Universe kind of line, and people are digging it for the most part. Because again, not every book is going to be successful.
Right.
And they're just like, let's reboot.
Yeah, and to be fair, we don't definitively know. We don't know exactly what they're doing.
I'm jaded.
Because some of the things that have come out, they just creates a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah.
So it will be very interesting to see as more information comes out and they unveil more about their plans and to see where it goes. I'm mostly just curious just to see where the industry goes as a whole. Because again, I was listening to a lot. I was doing some reading and listening over the weekend, just as far as like some of the new technological advances that we're looking at here in the next 10 years. And, with quantum computing and AI and all these different things, man, it's going to change everything. So in what we do and the things that we love in the entertainment industry, whether it be comics or movies or whatever, just entertainment experiences are going to be evolving with those huge technological leaps. So there's a lot of it that is exciting because it's going to open up some doorways that didn't exist before in terms of experience, immersion, especially. But it's also going to potentially close some doors on some things that we're all very nostalgic about and grew up loving. And
for sure.
And we'll be sad to see maybe get phased out.
I keep thinking like the Blockbuster.
Yes,
that's the thing.
exactly.
Like, that kind of stuff where it's like that was a thing and it's not a thing anymore.
Yeah.
So it's really sad. I do want to mention before we move on though, that another big thing that happened in the Absolute Carnage event is Cletus Cassidy is apparently dead again.
Right? But is he?
No, he's not.
No, he's not.
I'm sure he'll come back around, and maybe I don't know if Donnie Cates is going to pick up with him again, or another writer's going to pick up with it. But he's not. If he's gone, he's not gone for long.
Well, too, it's like with Noel, them bringing Noel back to life, and what they were saying about the codices. Like, who knows how they could spin that to where he actually didn't die.
For sure.
It kind of just morphed into the overall.
What if Dylan is becomes the new symbiote god?
It's possible.
Right? You know what I mean?
That'd be interesting.
Right?
Yeah, because again, we don't know what his tie-in is. We don't know where his power.
But his eyes go black, and he's got some crazy power.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty dope, actually.
But what's really cool, staying in the Marvel news category, is the Russo brothers. Everyone knows them by now because they gave us little movies like Infinity War,
Civil War,
Endgame, and all that stuff. They've shown interest into possibly making the Moon Knight series for Disney Plus,
which would be incredible.
Really, really cool. They were in an interview over this past week. Basically saying, that's something we would like to look into. Yeah,
I mean that would make like the second bit of cool rumor floating around that series with the Shia LaBeouf possibility as a casting.
Great. Can we just, not to go off topic, but I love how Shia LaBeouf is having to come back.
I do too.
Like, I feel like it's like he's just so endearing and stuff now too. Like you could tell he really went through a dark patch, and like he realized he kind of went through Crazy Town, and he did do some crazy stuff. But everyone has their moments where you fall and then you get back up. Why do you fall?
So we can pick ourselves back up.
Exactly. So, and just seeing him on like the Hot Ones, and all that stuff, and all the interviews, like him and all that stuff, he just seems like such a sweet person. Yeah, like I just love the 180. I love the redemption stories.
Well, absolutely.
And it's like it makes me want to root for him even more.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like we're all human. Right. That's the thing that binds us is we're all human. We all face similar challenges just in different ways. And, it's cool to see someone, like you said, who goes through something. He clearly had some really difficult things in his life that he had to work through. And to see him like getting to work through those and come out on the other side and hopefully improve his life and use his platform to maybe help some others. It's very cool to see. And, we're rooting for you, Shia.
Yeah. And he's a fantastic actor on top of that.
He's a brilliant actor.
With Honey Boy, I think that's his most recent movie, right?
Yeah. It's about he wrote it. It's about his life.
Which it kind of going back to that, it kind of makes you understand why he did have like that dark patch in his life or whatever, because he had a lot of dad issues and stuff like that. And child actors are notorious for having, going through rough patches.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's that gaining celebrity and fame and fortune at such a young age, when you're still trying to develop and mature and figure out who you are, because once you reach a certain level of fame and fortune, it's like you're treated like you're above everything.
For sure.
You're because people just want a piece of you. So they treat you like you're a god of sorts.
Right.
And I mean, you can't imagine what that does. I mean, what it does to adults, like grown adults and their ego and just the way that they view the world around them. So for a kid, I mean, it's really tough. That's why you see so many times these young actors, they kind of freak out and they'll go through, not all, obviously. They're, I think, what's the girl who played your girl off Disney
Hilary
Channel?
Duff?
Hilary Duff. She actually survived it fairly well.
God bless Hilary Duff.
But then by comparison, you look at Miley Cyrus or Lindsay Lohan, right? And it's just a very tough, for every one that made it, success, made it through, there's like 10 that don't. So, but I'm glad to see him.
For sure. And if he was to get a role, because, especially for actors right now, everything's like franchise, right?
Yeah.
Like it's basically job security. You get like a Marvel role or a decent like any franchise role like that, you're set for life.
That would solidify it
you
for
just
him.
do Comic-Cons and you're good. But
at the same time, it kind of makes you worry though, right? Because you're like, he's just coming out of,
to throw him back.
You know what I mean?
into that.
And he says openly that it was being in that part of Hollywood that like really aided in his destruction.
But he's older now.
He's so it's like you're doing so well, man. Do you really want to dive in?
Well, maybe that's why this is kind of appealing in the sense because it's not Hollywood blockbusters. It's still TV. It's streaming.
But he would be in the MCU. It doesn't get bigger than that.
That is true. But he would do. I think seeing him in Honey Boy and some of his more what is it, Peanut Butter Falcon? Yes,
Peanut Butter Falcon.
His more recent roles, he is so good, and I think
he's excellent.
Playing like that schizo character, I think it would be really good
for us as fans. It's like that would be awesome.
Yeah,
but Shia, do you boo boo?
Could you imagine just
do what's best for you,
talking
my friend?
to like Khonshu, like the Moon God, and just him like going back and forth and freaking out? Oh man.
And when they said it, I never would have thought of him. No. When they said it, it was like, oh, that would be cool.
And it makes sense. He's going back to Disney. He's going back to his roots.
He's going back to his roots. Yeah, actually,
well, it's crazy. Do you think he would ever do Even Stevens again? There's like no shot, right?
No way.
Because
you never can say never.
Because you got Hillary.
My kids are watching that like crazy
Even
now
Stevens
on Disney
is
Plus.
A fantastic show,
and it's just reminded me of like how funny that show was.
Yes,
like
hilarious.
Even now, I'm just like that. This show is genuinely.
It is.
Like,
it was
good.
a brilliant show. That Lizzie McGuire and
remember Malcolm in the Middle.
Malcolm in the Middle.
It was kind of like Even Stevens a little bit.
Yeah. This was another Disney one. I don't know if you watched this one. You might have been a little too old for this one. The Famous Jet Jackson. It's the famous Jet Jackson.
I was in my late teens, early 20s.
Dude, a lot of those aren't on Disney Plus yet, but they got like the Jersey's not on there yet. Famous Jet Jackson isn't on there yet, but I'm assuming
they got to leave you wanting for something.
Yeah, they're gonna populate as time goes on. Point is, I think we could both agree.
We went way off.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think we could both agree that Shia LaBeouf would be a fantastic.
It would be very cool
choice for Moon Knight.
And if he thinks that's a good move for him, then I would be thrilled to see him.
For sure.
To see him do it.
But speaking of Disney Plus, Mandalorian, we're on episode 3, right? Episode 3? Yes.
Well, we've seen 3.
Right. By the time you're listening to this,
4 the fourth one. We're kind of we shoot these podcasts. It's kind of in a weird spot in relation to when they release.
Yeah.
Because it's like right before the new one releases. Mm-hmm. So we don't get to see till
unless they're listening to it like a week, after we release it.
And then there's 2.
Yeah.
Or you could be listening to that's not going. You get the point.
Point is, there's going to be spoilers for Mandalorian episode 3. So
right.
That's your warning. Can we talk about how this was like the most action-packed goodness I've seen in Star Wars in recent years in general?
Period.
Like,
I think we can officially say now, The Mandalorian, like the first couple, we were like, we don't want to get too far ahead of time. We're 3 episodes in as of the time of this discussion. And we can, I think, officially say now, this show is excellent.
Yes.
It is the most Star Wars thing that Disney has done by a landslide. The fan service in this show for longtime Star Wars fans, it's just riddled with it from top to bottom.
Yes.
Every episode, you see something new that goes, oh my gosh, they brought that back. Oh my gosh, they worked that in. Mm-hmm. It's unbelievable. It's so well done. It's so well written. All the characters are interesting, even when there's hardly any dialogue.
That's the thing. We were talking about that last podcast. That's the craziest thing to me.
It's crazy.
We're 3 episodes in, and there is any of the characters really. There's not much dialogue in the entirety of the show. Yet
I think the episode 3 had the most dialogue of all of them, but even that, it wasn't like a lot.
And yet you know exactly what's going on. You know everyone's motivation.
Yep.
Like you feel like their emotions, and it's just such a testament to like how this they're telling the story.
Yes, the perfect example of what you just said is how the Mandalorian, you never see his face,
no facial expressions.
You never see his expressions. And yet, when he's interacting with Baby Yoda and he's questioning whether or not he's going to leave him or he's going to go back and save him, you never see his face. All you see is a mask. And yet, you know exactly what he's feeling. Yep. You know exactly what he's thinking. And you know exactly what he's going to do, one way or the other.
Yep.
And the fact that they're telling the story in such a way where, and some of them, it never changes frame.
No.
You're just sitting on the Mandalorian in his ship,
that was
just sitting there. And you know exactly the conflict that's going on with the character. and you know exactly what he's about to do when he does it.
Because they do such a good job of like, you know, prepping you for that.
Yes.
Like they'll do things earlier on for like 5-10 minutes down later to be like, oh, that's you see the conflict within himself.
And that's a credit to both the filmmakers, but also Pedro Pascal, because the tone of his voice when he asks certain questions, he's doing a great job with the perfect inflections and all that kind of stuff. It's just so good. But let's talk about the most important aspect of this episode, the Mandalorians.
Yes. Well, there's yeah, okay. So when we see them, well, basically, I guess let's just kind of talk about it a little bit. So basically, the Mando comes back and he hands over quote unquote Baby Yoda.
Baby Yoda.
Right? And at that point, he gets all of the precious Mandalorian armor.
Right.
He gets like a bunch of all the Mandalorians. Once he brings it back to the armor, is like basically where the frick did you get this?
He turns in Baby Yoda and he gets. Which, by the way, that thing that they brought back, that was the ice cream maker, the famous Star Wars ice cream maker.
That's right.
That was an Easter egg. It's just so much of that stuff. They turned it in. They took that, which nobody knew what it was supposed to be, so it was just famously called nicknamed the Star Wars ice cream maker, and they turned it into a containment device, you know, like a lockbox almost,
right?
And it was so when he turns in Baby Yoda, he just gets that full of Beskar metal. And that's what you're saying. So he comes in and everybody's just staring at him.
Yeah, they're just like basically, you know, to the point where what's this guy's name? The infantry dude, the heavy infantry guy, the Mando.
Oh, the heavy infantry. Yeah, his official name in the show is Paz Vizsla.
Okay, he basically comes up like picking a fight with Mando, pretty much like, you know. What are you gonna do with all that? Almost like
he was mad at him because he's working with the remnants of the Empire, and the Empire are the ones that wiped them out. So they hate the Empire, they hate their guts.
Yeah. So
he's pissed that he's doing work for them for any reason, and so they have like an exchange. He's like, "Oh, you're gonna go and you're gonna be this scum who's working for the Empire." And they have a little exchange. Oh, it's dope.
To which the armor basically is like, boys, settle down.
And that character, Paz Vizsla, is actually voiced by Jon Favreau,
which I didn't even recognize his voice. Yeah, you told me that.
Well,
earlier.
You know, they got the effect on there.
Yeah. I got to go back and like just listen to it now.
But what's cool about that is that the character, the heavy infantry Mandalorian, that he gets into an exchange with, he is voiced by Jon Favreau, and the character's name again is Paz Vizsla. Well, in the Clone Wars, the animated Clone Wars series, Jon Favreau also voiced Pre Vizsla. Which is the character that obviously runs Death Watch and all that kind of stuff. So they kind of are just bringing everything back around.
With connections to like the Darksaber and all that stuff.
Yeah. Well, this character, I guess his last name is spelt without the S. So it's Vizla as opposed to Vizsla. So they're saying it's not the same, but it's almost like a tip of the hat maybe.
I need to go back and rewatch all because I didn't never finish the Clone Wars saga.
Oh really?
I never finished it. It's now on Disney Plus, so I need to go back and finish all that.
We're rewatching it. Me and my kids we're rewatching that, and we're gonna work our way through Rebels. Because I want to do it before the new Clone Wars series comes out.
Okay.
So I want to go through and refresh on all of that, and it's so good. It's just as good.
There's gonna be so much Star Wars content on this.
Oh yeah,
on Disney Plus, it's crazy.
And if the Mandalorian is I'm ready for all of it now.
Oh yeah. Filoni's attached, no matter where it is. Yeah, if you say Filoni, I'm in.
But to go back to what we were talking about, like that's this. They have the exchange between the Mandalorians at their covert at the Mandalorian Enclave, and he gets his armor forged. And she asks,
which that was the cool. See, I think I told you this. I was in your office the other day, and I remember watching even the first and second trailer, for The Mandalorian. I didn't realize that his armor even changed. In the trailers, they show you his armor change.
They do.
So you see, he's got all the Mandalorian like metal on him now, or iron, and he gets it in the third episode, and it looks so cool.
Dope.
Like they even say in the episode that you're going to draw a lot of attention now.
Yeah, because he's covered in Beskar.
Yeah, which is expensive, and it's it's
very hard to come by.
Yeah. So to that effect, though, obviously through the episode, he's in a ship and he's like, about to go on his next bounty, and he's like, I can't leave Baby Yoda. He's like, I love the little guy, essentially, right? Yeah. So he goes back and he kills tons of stormtroopers, just
that scene was wrecking so shop good.
On these stormtroopers. Who, by the way, I love that you could tell they're like hired guns now, because after the Empire fell, they're just like, well, we're mercenaries. Whoever's going to pay us, that's who we're loyal to.
Yeah, but they're maintaining the code. That's what another thing I loved about this episode is they're getting into they got more into the Mandalorian code, and where the scenes where they're like, this is the way.
No, well, I'm talking about the stormtroopers.
Oh, the stormtroopers. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about the Mandalorians.
How like they're usually bright white, super clean. Now they're all dirty and they're just hired guns essentially.
Yeah, well, they're on the run basically at this point. Yeah.
But although, what's the guy's? It's a complicated profession guy. That's how I'm going to call him.
Yeah, we just know him as the client.
The client, right?
Yeah.
He's secretly apparently trying to rebuild, I guess, the Empire.
We don't know what he's doing.
Yeah,
we don't know. Him and the scientist, Dr. I can't remember the character's name either, but he's doing something with Baby Yoda, trying to extract his DNA or something, clearly maybe to either clone him, to make multiple clones of Baby Yoda,
suck the Force out of him, put it into other.
We don't really know. He's trying to extract a sample of some kind, and he's telling him, when Mando goes back for Baby Yoda, he uses his tech to do surveillance, and he hears them say, "Just get your sample and let's get out of here. I can't protect you much longer," sort of a thing. And so he goes in hoping to get to it before they kill.
I love too how we're all, because not just us, everyone on the internet saying Baby Yoda, because we don't know if it is Baby. We don't know. But like I was watching an interview with Falcone, and the lady who was interviewing him, she's like, "I love Baby who?" And like trying to see if he would get tricked into it, and he's like, yeah, the baby, right?
The baby.
But it's so interesting because we don't know. Like again, is it like Baby, like Yoda reborn? Is it just another species, another of his species?
Right.
And he did say in that interview, though, that, well, he didn't say, I'll take that back. He didn't say. He kind of alluded that we're going to get answers, but not a whole lot. So while we might, know more about the Yoda species or more about this character, it's not going to be too much so, because he says he would never want to take all the mystery out.
Yeah.
He said he would never want to get... It's kind of like the Joker origin, where you don't want really an origin for the Joker.
Right.
So, because it takes... The coolest part like of Jaws and all these scary movies is like not seeing it. Once you kind of see it, it makes it a little less.
No doubt.
So I kind of like that we're going to get answers, but not a lot.
Well, too, because they're also they're just setting a stage for more Star Wars content.
Yeah, well, they're currently shooting season 2 right now, so maybe it's going to be answered in season 2.
And we got Obi-Wan coming up, and who knows how many other series they're planning after this.
And I wonder, is there going to be a time jump? Like, is Baby Yoda going to be like toddler Yoda by then?
Kind of like what they did with Baby Groot?
Exactly.
I don't know, because they age so slowly that it would take a long, long, long time. I mean, they're going to way outlive any of the Mandalorians.
We find out the species is just incredibly smart. I mean, it's already freaking like healing people and lifting big space rhinos.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. But I'm fully on board.
Milk I want. But no, I'm fully on board with the show. I feel like we could talk about this forever, but we didn't talk about the action scene though.
That's what I was about to get. I wasn't going to let you skip it. Promise.
Yeah, with all the. Because I'm just sitting. My wife and daughter were asleep, so I was in the living room watching it all by my lonesome in the dark, and it was magnificent.
Oh,
big screen TV going and everything. And you just see that Mando is cornered, because at that point in the show,
pinned down.
At that point in the show, they realize that he's stealing Baby Yoda, so the bounty's on him now.
Yeah, well, he violated the code.
He violated the code.
The bounty hunter
it's
code.
Almost like John Wick.
Yeah, very much like John Wick. Yeah.
So everyone's after him, and it's him against all of them. And he's actually, for the first half of the fight, like holding his own. Like he's wrecking shop.
Yeah,
especially with his space rifle and all that stuff.
It's like so Clint Eastwood too. It's
100%.
It's like, you're gonna let me walk out of here.
Yes. But ultimately it becomes too much, and then out of nowhere you see the little city or whatever they're in. You see all like these sparks and rocket ships come from the background, and it's the Mandalorians with their jetpacks coming to help their boy.
Even my kids were laughing at me because we watched it together, and my kids were like, "Dad, you're so funny." Because when that happened, I just that was full nerdgasm for me.
Yes,
I rewound it instantly. I said, "We have to watch this again right now."
The first time?
I was like, "We have to watch that again right now." When all the Mandalorians and the emerged on the jetpacks, and then he lands, the heavy infantry Mandalorian lands with that Gatling gun and just starts mowing folks down. That was
awesome.
Full-blown Star Wars nerdgasm.
I'm just so curious to see what's going to happen now because they were hiding. Like, no one knew that they were under there.
It's awesome. And he just looks at him and says, we got you. This is the way. I was like, this is the way. Yes, it is.
This is the way, and I have spoken.
And I have spoken.
Now, like, we're only 3 episodes in.
I'm going to be saying that. I'm going to be saying that constantly now. This is the way. That's it.
I'll use I have spoken.
Yeah, we'll do it. It's so good.
It's like we're 3 episodes in, and it's again, this show is so good thus far that it is turning all the people who were like hating and dissing on Star Wars ever since the Disney acquisition and stuff. Then now even they can't like justifiably be like, this sucks.
And I'm telling you, man, that's why I said this was the plan. They gotta win back the OG Star Wars fans because a lot of them were turned off with what they did with, not all, but a lot of OG Star Wars fans were turned off with what they did with the new trilogy. Now, it depends on what episode 9 does, because that could re-spark some stuff, but it might be tempered by, well, at least we got The Mandalorian. Right? Well, I don't know.
Do you think that's why The Mandalorian ends a week after the release?
Maybe.
Like, just so
it may be.
So in case everyone doesn't like it.
I don't know. And like, again, for me, and my opinion on it is, and I think you share this, there's nothing wrong with the new series. It's just different. And there's a lot of people that like it, and then there's a lot that don't.
It's true. And
so it's just taste. It's, are there politics involved? Yes. Are there some things that, and everybody's got an opinion on it. It's just, but in the end, they're just stories.
Right.
And some you like and some you don't.
And they're never going to stop. Disney is never going to stop telling these stories.
And The Mandalorian, I think that's what's so smart and great about The Mandalorian is it tells us, like, look, Star Wars isn't going anywhere. There's some real good...
We got Obi-Wan.
Yeah, we got Obi-Wan coming up. There's some really good Star Wars storytellers that are going to be telling these stories. And so you might not like some, but there's going to be some stuff like Mandalorian that's going to be like, there you are, Peter.
Yeah, that's true for like almost every creative property. So,
so and that's my hope, that The Mandalorian, and I think this was the intention of The Mandalorian. It was an olive branch to OG Star Wars fans to say, guys, we're not trying to destroy your version of Star Wars. We just told a different story, but we're going to tell these over here too, we promise. And for me, it's fully fulfilling that, and it's scratching that itch hardcore. Yeah,
it's one of those shows that I have to watch the day it's released.
Yeah, like, no, without any. Yeah. I can't wait to get home on Fridays now, so we can watch The Mandalorian.
Although I kind of would, I purely because of spoilers, I can't even do it. Something would get spoiled for me, but I would love to let like 3 episodes build up and then just have an hour and a half.
Yeah, like a movie.
Yeah, it'd be great. But we could talk about this all day. We talk about it every single week because it's that good. We talk about the latest episode.
But that actually, it's a great segue too of what we were talking about the new trilogy in episode 9 is what's happening with J.J. Abrams and the leaked script.
Yes, that is super interesting. How apparently J.J. won't give any names of what actor it was, but apparently he or she left a script in their room, their hotel room or their Airbnb, wherever they were staying. And when the cleaning crew came in, the maid or what have you, they found the script in
a working
script in the room, then thus proceeded to put it on eBay.
As one does.
Yeah, but luckily enough, Lucasfilm and Disney employees, I guess, were able to find it right away. I don't know how the frick that happened. Disney's got, eyes and ears everywhere, and bought it.
They snatched it up.
They snatched it. So no, it's back in Disney/Lucasfilm's hands. But, did a lot of the rumors, because even before this, we were having people saying, giving spoilers for what the ending is.
Right.
So now, is a lot of those rumors of what the spoilers are for episode 9 true because they came from this script? Or are recent rumors going to be true because they did come from this?
That was my takeaway. Was that this is kind of confirming that a lot of these leaks might be true. Now, it might not. It might not, because they said that they snatched it up before it could really get fully exposed. But it seemed like some of these leaks about the end seemed pretty hardline definitive. Now, again, I don't know what they are. I'm avoiding them at all costs.
Right.
But my wife, she's having a very difficult time. She keeps sending. She's like, this one. I hope that maybe that.
Could you imagine like the big reveal is like Hayden Christensen or something comes back, and that's like as.
How could they do that?
I don't even know, man. But could you imagine?
I don't know. I don't know, man. And my big thing too is I'm wondering
because it's the rise of Skywalker.
Well, the Mandalorian again, it wraps around the release of Episode 9.
You think they tie in?
I can't imagine that's not intentional.
So you think they tie in one way or another?
I don't know,
like,
but it seems very suspicious because they released this episode, right? I think it's Episode 7, and then they skip a week
because Episode 9
comes out, and then they release the final episode of The Mandalorian that Friday.
It very well could.
So it really it lends to the idea that they tie in.
But it could also be something as simple as, since it's another Star Wars property, they want to give it a week to breathe so everyone go sees the movie and stuff. So
definitely.
But it could go either way, though.
Definitely.
So I'm very, very
But
curious.
with Mandalorian being post-Jedi, post-Return of the Jedi in its storyline, I mean, it could easily do that. Especially if, like you said, it does a time jump.
I don't know. I'm very, very curious.
I mean, we don't have to wait that long. It's only a month out.
I will say one thing, though. Filoni and Favreau did say that this has actually never been done before, that they were able to get Disney merchandising and marketing on board to not spoil any characters that are not have even been advertised. Like Baby Yoda was one.
That's true, actually.
Baby Yoda's one.
Yeah.
And Favreau was saying that with Marvel, any of these, Harry Potter, usually stuff gets spoiled through toys, Lego, stuff like that.
Yes.
Because, they want to promote their
right,
product.
Exactly.
So he said they were able to get everyone on board to pull back to not spoil characters that are in it.
Which seems like it should be a given, right?
Yeah.
Because I always get frustrated when they spoil stuff in movies because of the merchandising.
But he said characters. Baby Yoda was one.
Right.
He made it plural. So what other character, or even more so, 2, 3, I don't know.
Well, it's like the infantry Mandalorian with the Gatling gun.
Yeah.
They didn't release his statue until after the show came out.
No, but I'm wondering if there's familiar characters that we don't know.
There has to be.
Like,
obviously, if it's spoiler.
Yeah. Because Baby Yoda, though it's a new character, it's connected to Yoda in one way or another, whether it's a relative or not. It's still part of the species. So that's kind of familiar. I don't know.
And you know what's interesting about that? Is that they still haven't released Baby Yoda merch.
Rumor has it. I saw something this morning, literally before we came in here to shoot, that Black Friday, they're just going to drop all the Baby Yoda merch on Black Friday.
But the fact that they're waiting makes you wonder, is there a reason for that?
That's true. Maybe there's a gimmick that
because this is
something.
3 episodes in we've had Baby Yoda.
Because his rattles like a lightsaber?
Or or maybe, like you said, he ages.
That is curious. The
right?
fact that we're 3 weeks in and we still don't have like a Baby Yoda. Because like Baby Groot, I want a Baby Yoda plush or toy. Like that's everyone.
I want. You know what I want? I want a life size. I want a 1:1 scale.
Baby
of Baby Yoda. That junk is going in my office as soon as Sideshow or someone drops a 1:1 scale
like
Baby Yoda.
Because he's so little.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it looks to be probably about 12 to 14 inches.
So cute. A little thing.
It's adorable. And as soon as someone releases a 1:1 scale, I'm going to buy it, is what I'm saying. So whoever you are, whatever company is working on that, know that I'm going to buy it.
We're going to Galaxy's Edge soon. What if we see some stuff there?
That would be amazing.
For the Rise of the Resistance and all that stuff. They finally have some Baby Yoda merch.
For those of you listening, we're actually going to be in Galaxy's Edge this week.
Yes.
So keep an eye out we're going to be checking out Rise of the Resistance this week. So social media and all that kind of stuff. Just a little plug there real quick. But yeah, it's super interesting what they're doing. And just across the board, they're just being so smart. And it just shows you this is how you do it, guys. You're finding your rhythm. Stick with it.
Well, soon we're gonna have to change this to like Star Wars the podcast. But leaving that, because again, we could rant forever.
Yeah.
Batman, my favorite fictional character. We got some more news for the Batman movie. I feel like every week Matt Reeves, he's tweeting. He's just tweeting out like, and this character,
because they're still casting, and it's there's so many characters.
Yeah. So what is his name?
John Turturro.
John Turturro, right. So a lot of people may know of him from The Night of. He was in the Transformers movies towards the end.
He was in several Transformers movies.
Was he in the first one too?
He was in the first. No, was he in the first one?
I don't know.
He was in at least 2 of them.
He's a really good actor in a lot of movies.
Yeah.
And he's just been cast as Carmine Falcone.
Yeah.
Which is a major character in the Batman universe. And I think that's a perfect pick.
Mobster, he's great.
Yeah,
and if you've seen him in The Night of, you know why that's a great pick.
Well, he's got that.
Because he's not a mobster in that movie,
No.
but he has kind of that darker, he's an attorney.
Yes, and I just feel like he could do that mobster, like,
Perfect, yeah.
just, you would feel, because you know those people who don't necessarily look intimidating, like they're not huge, they're not massive, but their presence and demeanor is just like, oh, he'd have someone kill me in my sleep.
He has tremendous on-camera presence, and he looks like a loose cannon.
Exactly, and I think, you know, having a whole mob and stuff behind him and just being that Godfather-esque type mobster, yes.
Yeah.
I think that's a wonderful pick.
It just lumps on to the pile of really smart, good casting choices, and it's like we're at just as this movie just starts to come together, everything about it just looks like we might be getting the best Batman film we've ever gotten.
I went on his Twitter feed, and it almost seems like once a week he'll announce a casting. He did Paul Dano, Zoe Kravitz, obviously Robert Pattinson. We got your boy Andy Serkis as Alfred.
Yep.
Jeffrey Wright as Commissioner Gordon, and now we got John Turturro as Carmine Falcone.
Yeah.
So this is shaping up.
Yeah.
It's shaping up quick, too.
And we're still waiting to hear confirmation on Colin Farrell and, you know, some of the others that have been rumored.
Curious, because it's a big cast.
It's a huge
and there's
cast.
several Batman villains in it already, which is already, you know, especially with Carmine, that's definitely, you know, leaning to the rumors are probably true with it's being loosely based on the Long Halloween.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I'm very excited.
Everything about it has me, and I'm trying to tamp it down. I don't know about you, but I'm trying to tamp it down because we have so long to wait.
Yeah, but it's Batman, so it's hard. And I want a picture. I want Matt Reeves this December as a nice little Christmas present to be like, here's just a picture of what Mr. Robert is going to look like as the Batman. I
think it might be too soon.
That's the rumor. I've been seeing that on several sites. They're saying December, but who knows? But I just want to know, because I want to know if the confirmed or the rumor is correct that it's the black or the blue in gray bat suit.
Yeah.
That Hush style bat suit. And are we going to have the yellow oval, or are they going to stay with the solid black bat? I want details.
details.
So I'm very excited.
Yeah, it's going to be really exciting. And you know, the cast, all of the rumors, like we don't know much. You know, obviously we're just talking about it because we're excited.
Right.
But man, it's if everything shapes up the way that it sounds, this is going to be, I wonder if it's going to be like a real course setter in any way for the DCEU when it does finally drop.
We know he has a trilogy.
They could do so many things and set up so many different things with this many characters.
For sure. And the fact that it's a trilogy means he's looking big picture.
Right.
So he knows, you know, story-wise, you know, if this movie's going to do good, which is obviously it's Batman. That alone means it's going to make money. Where he's going to go for the second, the third, and then, you know, the studio may be like, oh, well, we want this character to get us because everyone loved Catwoman, so now she's getting a solo movie. Right. Or everyone loved, you know, let's say Nightwing is in it. Oh, could you imagine? Nightwing's getting a solo movie. Like, that would be, well, he was supposed to, but, you know. DC, yeah, they say things, they take it away. They say things, I don't know.
Well, it's like what we, you know, just recently where we had the rumors about Todd Phillips officially being confirmed to come back for Joker 2.
Right.
And then, you know, but not only that he was also being slated for other DC films that we were going to tie in. And then that just immediately being retracted and saying, no, that's nothing is official. And Todd Phillips having to come out and saying, we haven't agreed to anything. There's no... You know, so it's like there's just so much because everybody wants to be the one to get to the punch. You know, so we saw the same thing recently with all the release, the Snyder Cut stuff, all of the rumors just circulating, and we're just in a time where it's just rumors circulate like crazy.
Everyone wants to be the first to report on it and not check the facts.
Yeah. Well, even if, you know, sometimes even if the rumors sound like they could be probable, you know, not everything works out, even if it was in talks. Right? Not everything pans out. So it's like, it's going to be over the next 2 years, I think we're going to start getting some real clear, definitive, you know, official word as to where the DCEU is going with what Matt Reeves is doing with the Batman, but also what is Todd Phillips going to do? Is he going to stay in the DC universe? What is J.J. Abrams going to be involved in any way? And what kind of an impact is all of this stuff going to have?
It is a very curious future for the DC EU.
Yeah, we're kind of at like a fork in the road, it feels.
For sure.
Where it's like, we're not
Wonder Woman's
sure.
already shot. Yeah. So that's already been...
They pushed that back a whole year.
They did, and I'm wondering why. It's to maybe realign with something Matt Reeves is doing.
Exactly.
Or Black Adam. Actually, before we move on, I read an article today where apparently, again, this is the rumor, but rumors are fun to talk about, that The Rock is alluding that they're possibly that Henry Cavill might be in the movie as Superman, and that might be the big battle, the Superman Black Adam fight.
Well, Superman himself, Mr. Cavill, he not too long ago came out. He was in an interview and said flatly, "I'm not done with Superman. There is a lot more stories."
You think he's stirring it to prep people because of this?
Like maybe so, because Adam? He did say there's nothing official, there's nothing in the works or anything like that. But he himself, he said, "I'm not done with the character. I think there's a lot more to do with the character, and I have not put down the cape."
Superman.
So it's like, and for me, that's awesome to hear because he is my favorite Superman, and Superman. I want him to stay on as Superman. So if that happens and they find ways to rework it and actually give him some real solid storylines,
but even just from like an entertainment, an entertainment standpoint, just
Black Adam and Superman going head to head.
Gosh, that is the most comic book thing ever. Yeah. That'd be so cool.
And Shazam and Superman teaming up. I think we talked about that last time. I mean, that's the secret. That's just fan service for days.
Jeez. Oh man, I don't even.
All just setting in there, let the comic gods be with us.
Because the whole thing is Superman, Black Adam comes into conflict with Superman. Superman isn't agreeing with what Black Adam's doing.
Right.
They start fighting, and then maybe Superman isn't winning. So then, out of nowhere, you see Shazam coming. He's like, "Hey, I know what this guy's all about. Our power derives from the same place." And then they team up to fight freaking Black. Oh man.
And then Superman acts as a mentor for Shazam.
Yes.
I mean, there's just the possibilities for those things are absolutely there. It's already set up. They set it up at the end of Shazam.
Yeah.
So it's
Shazam and Superman have met. Yep.
So it's already there, and it would be so easy to do. So I really hope DC is smart enough because the fans would eat that up.
Yeah, I would.
Dude, I'd be there like a 12-year-old with my bucket of popcorn.
I want that, and it's making me sad that that might not happen now, or it's not going to happen.
Who knows?
Because this could just be the fanboy wishing.
But again, that goes to what I was saying. We're at a fork in the road. There's so many possibilities now because there's a lot of things happening simultaneously, but none of them necessarily connect.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's all kind of disjointed, especially with all of Snyder's work kind of being put to the side. We don't know what's going to happen, if anything, with all of that yet. So it's very much, but they have done enough to set the stage for a very good move in the right direction.
For sure.
So let's see what happens.
Yep. Well, I don't know. DC's doing some good stuff with Watchmen right now.
Yeah,
at least on the TV show.
It feels so disjointed though. It feels so much like its own thing.
Oh yeah, well yeah. I'm just saying as far as the DC property goes, not within. It's not in that DC superhero universe, but I am digging it still. As of this episode, again, when you're listening to this, there'll be more episodes out. But I think we're on episode 5, right? 5.
Well, we've seen 5.
We've seen 5.
6 and 7.
Right.
Well, 6 is out now.
The last episode we saw was basically the Looking Glass origin episode.
Episode 6 is already out. We just haven't watched it.
Right. Oh, we're actually
because you and I are behind.
Yeah, we are. We're going to be 2 episodes behind.
Yeah, we'll be 2 episodes behind. So when you all hear this, episode 7 will have been out too, because it kind of falls into that weird timeline too, where with the Mandalorian, where we record this and then Mandalorian and Watchmen drop before
math.
we get
hashtag math.
Hashtag calendars. But
yeah. So the Looking Glass episode, I don't really have too much to say about it, other than the fact that I really dug where his roots came from. And again, spoilers for this episode. The thing I loved about it most is that it showed you a glimpse of what people were doing or what it was like when that alien squid attack happened, basically. And they showed you, the squid monster briefly, the tentacles going all through the buildings and even sitting there on top of one. And, the basically the psychic wave, it pulsed out to kill everyone and blood from their ears and stuff like that. It was just... From a comic book fan perspective, it was just fun to see that live action because it pretty much looked like the comic books. Because even in Zack Snyder's Watchmen, he went that's the one thing he changed. Everything in the movie was pretty much ripped right out of the comic book, minus the ending. He decided to forego the squid monster and make it all on Dr. Manhattan.
Right.
So that's what he basically changed the entire ending. So this is the first time we got to see live action the comic book come to life, and I was geeking out. Especially the first like 15 minutes of the show was just like, yes, because if you love the Watchmen comic, again, it was really cool to see like the human's perspective of what they were doing while all this happened, and someone to just basically walk outside and be like, what the heck happened?
Yeah.
And then you see all these tentacles and stuff through buildings. Like imagine that mind F. We go outside right now and we just see like this big alien tentacles everywhere, people laying on the ground. It's like, what?
And super fascinating to see how they tied it all together with the past and what happened and how it affected society as a whole over the years leading up to current events of the series. And they showed, it was just a direct tie into what happened in the original Watchmen series, and then they did a really good job of tying it together.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see, again, because by the time this is out, which episode's behind, and I'm curious to see where they go from here, because I think it's an eight episode,
yeah.
So we're almost done. We're more than halfway done with the series, so I'm very curious to see how they're going to end it. Like, it's Lindelof, so I would imagine we're still going to have lots of questions, even though some are being answered finally.
It's going to end with a cliffhanger.
It's going to end with a massive cliffhanger. And I think it's going to be like, what if they end with like some big like Dr. Manhattan thing? I imagine that's the most obvious thing to do.
Do we know how many seasons there are going to be of the series?
No.
Do we know that yet?
No, I don't even know if it's got picked up for a season 2. I would imagine maybe it's just based off of how successful it is. So I don't know.
I'm wondering now if it's a limited series.
I have no clue. I bet you there's people listening to this yelling
saying
at
you
us.
guys are stupid. You guys should know that.
You should have done your research.
You should know that. Well, we don't.
But Walking Dead, another TV show?
Yeah.
Now, I have nothing.
Well, I'm going to say this too about the Watchmen, because you brought up the Walking Dead. Like the Watchmen, not for the same reason. Like, I haven't watched episode 6 yet. And the reason for that is that it's not, by this point, like, it's still good. I still like it, but it has started losing my attention a little bit, and I haven't been able to put my finger on why, per se, but it has started to lose my attention slightly. I haven't been as like, I'm waiting to watch it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's kind of like, it's reminding me, not for the same reasons as what like happened with The Walking Dead after like season 4 or 5. What was it like 4 or 5 was the last one?
It was like season, I think I personally fell off. I think season 4 is when I fell off.
I think that was because I watched season 5 in its entirety, and I remember being excited for season 5. And then season 5, I believe, is where it started losing me.
So are you thinking Watchmen is already having that effect on you on season 1?
What I'm saying is, and that's why I keep saying not for the same reason, is I'm starting to feel that losing of interest.
Okay.
But not for the same reason. And that's why I say I can't put my finger on why, because there's still interesting things happen. There's still questions being asked and answered. You have the direct tie-ins to the comics, which were very cool. But for some reason, I don't know if there's, for me personally, if there's just a missing element.
I don't know. I'm personally still digging it. I'm still intrigued.
It seems more polarized too than I thought it would be.
100%. There's
a lot of people that aren't digging it.
It's definitely not like the Mandalorian, where I'm like, I gotta watch this every week. Like, Mandalorian's like one of my favorite shows currently being released every week right now. I actually think it is. No, it is my favorite show currently being released every week.
Mandalorian? Yeah.
But I'm still very curious, and I'm invested. I think the when I can judge the season as a whole, we'll see how I'll look at it for season 2. Because with Watchmen 2, it's another thing where I feel like it was very much made to be, Alan Moore was basically like, no, this is a one and done thing. So I feel like stretching it and trying to make all these other stories is kind of like almost a disservice in a way. I don't want to say that like fully. It's just, when you take these properties that are like made to be like this one and done thing, and people love it so much, I just don't like the milking of it, where it's like, but the story was so good, you're not really necessarily going to be able to do that again. You can tell that the characters were put in these situations because it was a one and done thing. So then you have to go back and try to rewrite, backstory and all this stuff, when that wasn't the original intent, and that might not necessarily work out well. So that was my worry with the series going in, but I am liking it thus far. But I don't know if I would like it in a season 2 or season 3, because then it's like kind of like it's too much. You know what I mean? It's not like that evergreen Batman, Superman story where you could just go forever on it.
Yeah, I'm wondering, now that you're saying that, now it's kind of like starting to click maybe a little bit with what it is I think that maybe a part of me I'm watching the show, and God, I'm so hesitant to say things like this, but it's just there's a part of me that's almost kind of like, is this story necessary for the Watchmen?
No, 100%. Yeah, that's
and maybe that's part of it. Is it hasn't clicked with me as like, this is a necessary or a continuation that was like, because sometimes you watch things and you're like, wow, I didn't even know that I needed this.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like this is such an obvious continuation. It's such a great ad, and that you're just excited for it. I don't know that that's hitting. This new Watchmen series is kind of hitting that for me. And maybe that's the reason. I don't know. I have to think about it longer.
Yeah, that is. Yeah,
there's some deep psychological analysis that has to go on here, Arris.
Again, I'm enjoying what they're adding thus far. It's just I don't know if I would want it to keep going.
Yeah,
it kind of reminds me of like before Watchmen, where there were several good titles in there, but overall, a lot of it just felt like, did we need this?
Right.
Though, like to your point. But again, I'm enjoying the series thus far, and I'm still invested. But anything beyond season 1, it's too early to tell because I don't know.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait to see, I guess, what they do with it.
Yeah, but it's funny though, because I feel like Star Wars. Some people might argue that like the Mandalorian is an extension or add to the universe, which it definitely is. But it's like that just works so well. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, and again, I want to be really fair to the creators of Watchmen. Like, they're just telling their story. They're telling a continuation of the story. And again, I want to emphasize, it's good. It's very well done. The writing is very good.
For sure.
And the performances are all very good. It's just, for me, I don't know, the first couple episodes, it really had me. And then I've just it's been slowly trailing off. And I don't know what it is that, for me personally, that's missing. But it did start to lose my interest or excitement anyway, a slight bit. And that's why I say it kind of reminds me of what happened to me with The Walking Dead. Again, not for the exact same reasons, but in a similar way as far as my reaction to it.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see how it ends. So far, again, I want to know. I'm invested. I like it. But let's see.
We'll see.
We'll see where it goes.
To The Walking Dead point, we're on season 10 of The Walking Dead. And we talked about this in our very first episode after San Diego Comic-Con a few months back. And my wife is still watching The Walking Dead, as are many people, many of you who are probably listening to us.
Are they? Is that really? I don't even follow it anymore.
It still has people that are,
Are they still getting millions of views every Sunday or whatever?
Yes, they are.
Wow.
Now, obviously, the viewership has gone way down, but there's still a lot of people watching it. And the actual creator of the show, the writer, the creator, Robert Kirkman, he canceled his own book, and he walked away saying, "The cow has been milked dry." Essentially, I'm scraping. I think his exact words were, "I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel for ideas at this point."
Literally, at the end of the final issue, he said that,
and he became basically a slave to the show, just trying to keep it going, and so my wife is still watching the show because she is one of those people who she has to see something through all the way to completion. And I don't fall into that camp. But point being
is the most
point being,
I love how you're like skirting around it.
I want to be nice because, like I said, there's a lot of people that work very hard on these shows, and I do not want to insult anybody's hard work. But for me personally,
this is bringing me joy.
Okay.
Just watching you try to talk about this.
I guess it was the series mid-season finale last night of season 10. And they look. I'm going to just say it like this. I'm just going to say this flatly. If it were me and I was one of the creators of this show, if I was the network, it's time to wrap it up. Wrap it up, gang.
Well, again, if the creator of the entire franchise says he's the creator, without him, this wouldn't, it came from his brain. Without him, and he's saying that he's scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
What else do you need to say?
I mean,
that's it.
I think they're
done.
Still drawing from the comics in the storylines on the show. Are they not?
I haven't watched for so long, I don't even know. I checked out
So they've got the Whisperers. They're at war. The different communities are at war with the Whisperers, now. And most of the original characters are almost entirely gone now. But you're also getting this vibe that the characters themselves are ready to go.
Are their paychecks not cutting it anymore?
I don't know, man. It's just, okay. Again, I'm just going to say it's gotten really redundant.
Well, yeah. I mean, for season 4,
we're 5 years in.
Or 5.
We're 5 years into season after season after season of a lot of redundant story arcs.
You know where I fell off?
And it's just kind of like it's
whatever season it was. Spoiler, even though this was years ago. Whatever season it was that I believe it was it wasn't the governor. It was Negan. Whatever season it was that Negan killed Glenn.
Mm-hmm.
That's the season I fell off on.
That's season 5, I believe.
Okay, so season 5. That's where I stopped.
Yeah.
I watched the first 2 episodes of that season and was like, I'm out.
That was polarizing. A lot of people liked that, were shocked by that, and a lot of people didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
I fell into the camp that when that happened,
that was crazy.
It was so shocking. I thought it was so brutal intentionally.
Yeah.
That I liked it. It got me. It was like, because I felt like it really set the tone for how evil and bad this villain was going to be and how much crap they were really in at that point. And then that never came to fruition. It never actually, played itself out in that way. He wound up being this very kind of, I don't want to say a wishy-washy villain, but he just was back and forth between, he didn't know if he was going to be benevolent. He had like these soft spots, and
that's crazy.
For him to do what he did in that, I mean, that character should have played himself out as just being an absolute brutal tyrant from start to finish with no mercy. And it would have just made him terrifying, and he wound up not being that scary.
Yeah, that first episode of that I think season 5 again, where he killed Glenn, was insane.
Yeah.
I think I watched first 2 episodes, maybe the first 3 episodes. Yeah. But then shortly after, it was like, okay.
And it was I think it was that kind of back and forth version of Negan that kind of, I think, started the tick down of like, where's it all headed?
Point is, if you're still watching it, that's awesome. I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Yeah, this is not to knock anybody who's still enjoying the show.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, for me personally, I'm a little bit surprised that the show is still, because I don't know that they've greenlit another season.
Are you saying beating a dead horse? Is that what's happening here?
I'm just saying that there's a lot of redundancies in the storylines, and they may want to consider closing it up. That's horrible. I'm sorry for everyone. Please don't. It's not an insult.
No,
it's me. My personal opinion. If I was working on the show, I'd be looking to wrap it up.
That was the creator's personal opinion. Yeah. So much so he wrapped up the comic.
Yeah,
because he had control of that one.
And now, before I get myself in trouble with the entire industry,
no, but I think, saying wrapping up, let's wrap up today's podcast.
Yeah, I think I got myself into enough trouble today.
Yeah, it's a good way to go out, right?
Yeah. So for all the Walking Dead fans that hate me now, no.
Hey, I checked out season 5 again. If you liked it, awesome. It's it's redundant, fine. And I don't know. I don't need to explain myself. I just wasn't enjoying it.
Yeah, I fell off, and with you, I fell off in season 5, and if you still like it, cool. If not, you're with us. That's it.
And with that said, that's going to bring this podcast.
That's going to wrap us up.
Remember, you can follow us on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, and our Variant the Podcast YouTube channel, which this video format is going to live on permanently in the future here.
In the near future. And remember to keep an eye out for the Variant YouTube channel, as well as all of our social media this week for our visit to Galaxy's Edge in Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida, to check out the very first look at Rise of the Resistance, the full ride. And that's going to be a blast. We're going to be covering that. Maybe some other fun things. We don't know. They've got a few
Yoda.
things.
Maybe we'll bring you a baby Yoda.
Maybe we'll bring back a baby Yoda. I'm going to go with doubt it. But
dude, if they have, maybe we could put them right next to Stan right here. Next to Stan.
If we do,
for those of you who are just listening, we have a Stan Lee hot toy on our desk, so maybe we could have Baby Yoda like right by him.
But other than that,
we'll see you guys next time. We talk about all things comics.